A democratic Afghanistan has collapsed. The Taliban are inside Kabul. They say their job is to fill the vacuum left by absent police forces. They've made a vow not to harass or annoy anyone. But the news we are getting just now is that there are reports of gunfire in the EMIRATES neighborhood. This is coming from journalists who are there on the ground. Kabul residents extremely worried about what might happen tonight. Banks are closed down. ATMs have run out of cash mostly. There are no flights out at this particular juncture. One of the last ones out was an Air India flight earlier today. There is a hope that these flights will take place tomorrow, but there is no clarity about that just yet. The Taliban, again according to journalists on the ground, say that there will be no transitional government in the country, that the group expects a complete handover of power. The Afghan president Ashraf Ghani has fled. His family members, we are told, are also out. Several MPs have fled. At least two of them are in India, having come to this country on that Air India flight. The Indian embassy has not been evacuated so far. The Indian embassy lies in the green zone. That's the most secure area in all of Afghanistan. But we are told that there was the presence of Taliban soldiers, militia over there earlier on in the day. So the hope is that there is a peaceful transition of power, but nobody can really know that that's going to take place. Nobody expected the Taliban to be at Kabul's doorstep so soon. That Air India flight I referred to had 129 on board. They managed to get out. Former President Hamid Karzai has released a video with his young daughters asking that the Taliban protect women and children. This is an extremely fluid and difficult situation. No real clarity on what happens next. The US ambassador has now left the embassy along with his staff, and the US flag is now reportedly flying at Kabul International Airport. So if there's a quick getaway that needs to be made, evidently that's what they intend to do. In terms of the macro picture, it's this: one of the world's most violent terrorist groups, entirely supported by the Pakistan army, is now effectively in power in Afghanistan. The contours of this power, who becomes president and the like, that's just going to be decided in the next couple of days. They have also, incidentally, in the last hour or so since reports started coming in, it's clear that they've seized the presidential palace in Kabul, but Ashraf Ghani, the president, has fled to Afghanistan. Amrullah Saleh, the first vice president, no word on where exactly he is. At least two MPs have fled to India. So it is a complete and utter mess at this stage. Joining us now for his views on what's taking place, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash. Ambassador Prakash, Indian citizens and our mission over there, how much longer realistically can we hold out? Because earlier today, the Taliban said they would not enter. Now they've entered. They said it would be peaceful, but they are sitting in the presidential palace. It is peaceful thus far by and large. But it's obviously, there are sporadic reports of gunfire taking place, banks have collapsed, flights are impossible, and we've got a full-fledged mission over there. So how do you assess the security situation for Indian nationals, our ambassador, our embassy?
Vishnu, good evening. Certainly, Government of India is watching it very closely. There is no question of putting any of our personnel at risk. I'm very confident that as the situation is being monitored, whatever steps that are to be required will be taken. They've been taken in the past, and there is no reason why it should not happen now. So on that, I have no doubt. Having said that, and I'm hoping that what I'm going to say is wrong, because at times you hope that you're wrong. My question is, can a wolf in sheep's clothing be any different? Remember, the only change that has come about in Taliban, as far as I can see it, because they stand for a certain anarchy, a certain narrative, a certain world order, which is anchored in the 7th century. Now, the only change that has come about is that they have learned to say whatever somebody wants to hear. And then it will happen what they normally do. In the areas that have been occupied by them, you recall that in Badakhshan, a lady was pulled out of the car and shot because she was not wearing a hijab. The fighters have gone around and told the people that girls over 12 and widows can be taken away. This is the same Taliban that it was earlier. I don't think anything has changed. A wolf in the sheep's clothing remains the same.
Ambassador, is this not an unbelievable abdication of responsibility by the United States?
While talk of certainly United States, and with all due respect, I would like to remind all ourselves, everybody in India and abroad, that we have the president in the US who swears by democracy, had said that, he is a votary of democracy. We are lectured on human rights, religious freedoms, women's empowerment, and what we see is absolutely different. The women of Afghanistan, the children of Afghanistan being left to Taliban. I mean, how much bigger can
it's a dereliction of duty, of responsibility.
Not just dereliction of duty.
Of their own standards. There is hypocrisy.
It's a cruel joke. It's a cruel joke which has been perpetrated on the people of Afghanistan, and it's a black day in human history. We will all come to rue it.
Ambassador Prakash, obviously for Pakistan this is an incredible victory at this juncture. It's hardly a secret that they've propped up, they've backed, they've led militarily the Taliban, and now they're sitting in Afghanistan. What does this mean for us?
Well, first of all, this victory is a victory which means that they are wearing a crown of thorns. You remember Hillary Clinton had once said that if they are nurturing snakes in the backyard, it is not only for a certain, they will not travel in a certain direction, so they will pay the price. But, Taliban knows only two things. They know how to fight and they know how to be a mullah. Now, they will have to be kept occupied, but once they settle down, I'm afraid that all the promises will be lost. It will be back to their behavior that they are used to. Today they have made promises to China, to Iran, to Russia, to Tajikistan, to Uzbekistan. Well, you don't know where the guns will be trained. Basically, we are heading for a period of anarchy and darkness. But unfortunately, the people of Afghanistan will be the worst victims.
So, Ambassador, what does India do right now?
Well, India is, at times, it is very important to watch the situation, observe the situation, and then take steps. You don't get into adventure or an activity which is will not work. We have there are reports that we have been engaging with Taliban in the past or in the recent months. Now, whether we should have done that earlier or not is anybody's guess. Point is that we will have to see what Taliban is up to. If it is the same old Taliban, it will be a different thing. If Taliban is willing to have some amount of discipline, if they behave even half as normally as others behave, then it will be possible to at least engage with them to make sure that they try and do not harm India's interest. Because after all, we are also capable of harming their interests.
Sure.
And I hope that, I don't have much hope, but I hope that things work out in a way that do not cause any major complications.
All right, Ambassador, thanks very much for speaking to us.